ever worried that you might be the cool kid you wear the latest fashions on top of all the trends? Or have you ever worried you were too much in the mainstream, always so generic, more normal than your friends? Well, we've devised a test to put to rest your fears. There's no need to panic if you lend us your ears. Tonight you can't sleep easy after all that you've heard, cause if you like the show, then you're probably a nerd. Oh, Canon, it's Canon, it's all. Canon with Tyler, Phil, and Boris. Oh, Canon, it's Canon, it's all in Canon.
You are listening to the It's Canon Podcast, the show where we talk about all things geek, all things pop culture, all things Star Wars, all things Lego, all things everything and anything, because as the title says, it is the It's Canon Podcast. We're your hosts. I'm Boris, and as always, I am joined by Phil. Yo.
Am I muted?
No.
Oh,
you're
thank
not.
goodness for Alex. Thank goodness for Alex, because I'm like, he can't see me. I'm like, no.
That's
How's
when
it
you
going,
can text
everybody?
me.
Yeah, I was just about to pick it up, then Alex threw it in the chat. So I'm like, okay, he got you.
Well, that's
how's
a
it
beautiful way to start this episode, Phil.
Picks it up.
I know
all
it's
right?
a weird day. Exactly. I know it's a weird day. I know it's a weird a lot of stuff, but here we are talking. Oh man, we're gonna be talking a lot of shit today.
Yeah, we are. Unfortunately, it's stuff that if it doesn't get out now, it'll never be.
Here's the thing. This is a perfect episode where we could say, we watched it, so you don't have to.
That is true. Actually, I'll be upfront, straightforward. I have not watched Snowpiercer season 4. I've seen the majority of the first episode. I don't know if I want to watch anymore. All right.
We'll talk about that. We'll talk about kind of our thoughts on that. We're also going to be talking about Borderlands. And today is like a really we're throwing all the shit in today's episode. We're going to be talking Borderlands. We're going to be talking Snowpiercer. Oh man, we're even going to be freaking talking Concord. What's going on? Why do we do this to ourselves?
There's also the row in the Star Wars community, so add that shit cherry to the cake. But I will say that there are some bright spots in Terminator Zero. Right. So I'm 2 episodes away from the end of that. Yeah, so I pretty much figured out what's happening. it's barring any left-hand hooks in the last episode. It's on rails now. But
right.
Famous last words.
Terminator Zero. Excellent show. We're going to be talking about that. Oh, it's been a crazy day. Again, rest in peace, James Earl Jones, from Lion King to Star Wars to Made in America to CNN, the voice of CNN. Rest in peace. Yeah. Cultural impact, that is for sure, to say the least, man. But it's September. Something I wanted to bring up, right? So it's September. New season of TV shows. All the networks should be debuting show after show after show after show. But Phil, we watch a lot of TV. I watch a lot of cable TV. You watch a lot of cable TV because of your dad. Have you noticed that there's really not too many new shows coming out?
Bob's Burgers has a new season.
No, but new shows.
I know.
New shows. It's pilots.
Everything's gone to streaming, man. Everything's gone to streaming.
But even then,
it's not following the conventional schedule anymore. But it's following
but it's more than that. Dude, it's more than that. Look at Time Warner Discovery and their billions and billions of dollars in losses. Right? These networks are hurting and no one's ringing the bell. No one is talking about this. I'm surprised that Deadline, Variety, Entertainment, all those the rag pieces legit entertainment publications aren't talking about this more. But all is not well with cable TV.
Cable TV and, in fact, a lot of the production companies in general that are responsible for a lot of stuff. Like Paramount is just like dancing from one foot to the other foot to try and find stable ownership and control their assets. Like, it's nuts. And they're responsible for all the Star Trek, right, and everything like that. So
so much more. So much more than just Star Trek. It's almost scary how much they control.
Yep.
IP wise.
Yep. They have their fingerprints on a lot of stuff, and they do back up, like they actually buy a lot of stuff from ABC and whatnot and put it on their streaming network. Yep. I have canceled my subscription to that one, but it's only because I've only got so many that I can use. Right. I could sit there and spend hours, but I do subscribe, or I do use their Pluto TV app, and I'm hoping that sticks around, because that is just a nice little thing to find out what's going on Paramount Plus, because every commercial is seemingly Paramount Plus. So
it feels like it. That's for sure, right? Here in Canada, we finally got Bravo TV. My favorite station in the humanly world, Bravo TV, Below Deck, Real Housewives, and so much more here in Canada. Rogers is bringing us that one. It'll be very interesting to see what happens with their contract, with Bravo's contract with Slice, because right now Slice was kind of holding all of the contracts to all the big reality shows, but with Bravo around, I'm assuming that little by little they're all going to be going to Bravo Canada, or just Bravo. It's not Bravo Canada, it's just Bravo.
Yeah, and the worst part about that Bravo move, the content's not for me, but that's fine. Not everything should be for me. And other people got to watch their stuff too. But it killed OLN, and OLN was my conduit of Bob's Burgers like fests on the weekend, because at 2:00 in the afternoon until 8:00 at night on Saturday afternoon and evening, you had Bob's Burgers on repeat that whole time, 2 segments. And then the same thing with Sunday. And I know Bob's Burgers is a hit or miss thing for a lot of people, but I like its positivity, and I like its family dynamic, and I like its humor. In real life, I am Gene. So all I can say.
Yep.
I'm all fart jokes. That's all I do.
Yeah, man. It's crazy, right? Like, even reality TV, what used to be safe programming for all of the networks when shit hit the fan with cable TV and scripted television, even reality TV right now is not going the way that everyone thought, right? Speaking of Bravo and stuff like that, Bravo is okay, but I'm thinking more like, Dancing with the Stars is a perfect example. Dancing with the Stars was never the biggest show per se.
It did well, though.
It used to get the Sorry?
It did well. I'm surprised at how well it did.
It did well, but it wasn't Survivor. It wasn't Big Brother, right? That's what I mean. Now, it used to have the Monday, Tuesday, sometimes even Wednesday time slots. It used, right? But now, their new season is on Saturdays.
Wow. What's an interesting night to position it. But doesn't it stream on Disney?
Disney Plus, yeah.
Plus, yeah.
Yep. But
so
that's my whole point, right?
That's the flex, right?
You know that when even reality TV is hurting, there's a lot more going on, and I'm gonna be like, I'm constantly on TikTok, because TikTok, a lot of producers are starting to talk out about it. A lot of actors are starting to talk about it. There is a problem. It's not all good. It's not all sunny in Hollywood right now. There's a big issue with TV content in general. And it's not just the cable TV versus streaming debate. It's just in general. There's just not a lot of new shows that are being picked up because, like you said, a lot of studios are losing billions in dollars, and that's just TV. Look at the theater. Like, we're going to be talking about something that is losing hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah, it's and the worst part is like, for TV shows and for movies, they're adopting probably either retreads or IP that shouldn't be attempted unless you're going to be loyal to it. And that's the problem when you go after these video game titles in particular, but even retreading, like, just for example, I know it's not happening, but the A-Team, or retreading Magnum PI, or retreading all this stuff. It's not like the new content isn't good, but there's no original ideas coming out. And that's the part that scares me the most, is that the last, like, how many times do you get a Bob Newhart anymore? How many times do you get even a 2.5 Men, as hokey as that was? At least it had its dynamic, and it had a long run. It was a reliable show, like a piston. Same with Big Bang Theory. Might not be everybody's cup of tea, but man, that was reliable. You knew what you were getting when you turned it on. Same as Friends and all that. Now we don't get, like, we get retreads of old stuff like MacGyver and things like that. Nothing wrong with it, I guess, but I'd love to see new stuff. And, I can finish it off with Borderlands. Like, why do you go after an IP and you're not going to do the IP any justice by paying homage to its source material? But I digress.
Yep. We'll see what happens, man. There's just something really going on, something weird going on. And I know that partially some of it might have to do with the writer's, the double strike that happened last year. It got hit. It got the left hook, right hook, the Romeo and the Juliet, as we like to call it here. It's crazy. Like, I'm sure that has something to do with it, but I really do think that there's a lot more to do with it. And if you look at a company like Warner Brothers Discovery and the shit that they pull and try to sneak away with, like taking movies away from us and for tax write-off purposes, that there's so, and then you look at their financials where they're losing like $9 billion at a time, that there's something weird going on. It's not all hunky-dory like the people think it is.
Yeah, even look at what Disney pulled with Willow, right? Things like that, like making art disappear, and just so they can get a tax write-off. Like, it irks me. It hurts the fan bases. But it's going to be interesting. Hopefully the loud voices speak out more and we get a resolution to it, or at least some kind of compromise in the space, so that everybody gets what they need.
Let's hope so. Let's hope so.
We could use good, programming.
We need some good news. We need some good shows. We need some good content, man. But even then, nothing good on TV. What do? Let's play some video games. Oh my God, the amount of video games that suck nowadays too. Just like, I don't even know what's going on. And then the Sony, they have the balls to say there's just no good IP anymore. Well, get to it. Figure something out.
Oh, it just kills me. I assume, are we going to talk about Concord now?
That's what I'm going into. We're going to go into Concord. So, Phil, do you want to summarize kind of what happened with Concord? And I just love, I love that you and I were literally watching this in real time.
Yeah, you know what? It was I forget the studio that made it, but they got picked up by Sony. Sony made it an exclusive for PC and PlayStation. They had this idea about Concord being about a $40 USD game to play as a service that is basically the same as Apex Legends, Fortnite, all that kind of stuff.
Firewalk Studios.
Thank you, sir. And nothing against, all right? We have to be very clear because of the way the internet is. This isn't a dig at the devs or anything like that. I think this is a death of a game in a boardroom. All right? This isn't a death of a game because these people poured their hearts and souls into it and do not deserve abuse anywhere in their personal lives, on their internet feeds, on their X feeds, whatever the hell we're doing. They do not deserve griefing, threats, or anything like that. They did a good job. The game looked fun. It's just that nobody wants to play that game anymore. It looked like a poor man's... That's
exactly it, right? Like Overwatch, Valorant, we're over these types of games.
Yeah, even Destiny. It's struggling right now. And that was a mainstream title. It's free to play, and it's struggling.
Dude, the only IPs that are surviving right now at this point are the Call of Duties, and they are established IPs. These are IPs that have been around for so long, 20 years plus in some cases, right? They're the ones who are surviving. not
the
these
Fortnite.
new. Yeah,
The Fortnite, like
that's a
look
whole
at
different
Lego.
phenomena.
I know, but look at Lego dropping $1 billion into it. Like they know how to get money, and that's what you need as a games as a service. But as well, you need to have some staying power. You need to be able to have the gumption to put the product out there to be loved. I found it was extremely interesting that in under a week of the game being released, they killed the servers. Like their player base was that low that their concurrent players, I think, were like getting down to 35 players at an hour on Steam. Now, we don't know how many players are on PS5 or any of the other consoles. I don't know if it was a PS4 as well. Oh, here we go.
The highest, the peak for concurrent users for Concord was 660.
Oof. Wolf.
By contrast, Counter-Strike 2, about 1 million players since August 2022.
And that game's how old? But that's part of my argument. The only way you're going to breed a fan base is to leave the product there. The next argument that I'd have about Death by Boardroom would be who the hell decided that $40 was the price point for this thing, right? I'm not saying the game was bad or anything like that, but that decision killed it. Because who wants to pay $40 for the same game that they can play everywhere else for free?
For free.
Like, okay, sure. Like, I just, there was so much fail by Sony in that whole transactional department. So much failure. And
Alex is saying the interesting thing with Concord is that their advisors and playtesters were so confident that it was going to be a hit. And that's the problem. They just feel like a lot of yes men and people who just...
Well, the minute Sony come along and drop $200 million on your IP, right? All of a sudden, you're all going to be yes men because you all wants to get paid, right? So, sure. But the thing is that you've got a bunch of people who don't know what running a game as a service needs, from what I can understand, or who tragically have it wrong. Like they went to the Activision school of how to screw your customer, right? Through pricing models. But the Bobby Kotick course, right? So I'm just left stunned. It took a lot of bravery for them to kill it off. And I know that they're saying that it might come back. In other words, it'll come back free to play and get its chance and maybe get an extra coat of polish. But my understanding is the game was okay. There were some mechanics that were a little bit off. That's part of game development, though, is that you tweak it afterwards. We don't like it here at the It's Canon podcast, but it's part of the world we live in today is patch. That's why I'm not playing Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine 2 today, because patch is coming. So, yeah, I it's an unfortunate, weird thing. I hope Sony learns from it. I hope that Sony...
They won't.
I doubt they will. They're going to make the same mistake in some other form again. I think what they need to do is stick to their lane of single-player games and really lean into that, because this Wukong thing, this Chinese video game that's like absolutely toppling everything that's on a PlayStation because it's appealing to a Chinese fan base. Oh my gosh. But it's a single-player game. This is what people want. It's a purposefully done game for a certain group of people, and other people can access it too and have fun with it. I think that's wonderful, right? So, Alex is upset.
No, he is. Oh yeah, he ranted. He was ranting with me. It was great. He's a passionate guy, and like that's the beauty of this show. Right? Like that's why sometimes we come off as angry old men yelling at clouds, because we are passionate about this. We've seen the evolution. Yeah. We know what it takes, like in regards to just being in the tech industry. I don't know, man. It's the video game industry right now is in such a weird place. And then yet again, like this is another strike against live service games. Yeah. When are people going to just fucking understand live service games are no good? They will never be good.
Yeah, I if anything, I don't want to dance on a grave, but I will dance on potentially the potential grave of live service games. All right. Nothing against anyone in the industry. Take your skill set and apply it to something else, please. Just this live service thing. Okay. I've had enough. Tapped it out.
Alex brings up a great point, right? You know, in the Sony landscape of things, this game was saved and not the Last of Us 2 factions.
Yeah. Well, I also respect the fact that they said it just doesn't work, right? Like, my understanding is the unofficial way that went down is they showed it to the Destiny team and they went, no. And when Destiny, God knows how much Destiny has failed. But when Bungie look at it and say, no, you can't do this. You need a lot more work and you need a lot more space. They warned Sony. They warned Naughty Dog. You don't have the structure, nor the patience, nor the developers to support a live service game. So stop, right? I don't know that anybody put the brakes on Concord in that capacity. Like if Sony just said, well, we'll have Concord do that. And then they just left it in the corner and just, no, Bungie, stay away from them. They're on their own. They were $200 million. They're ready. They told us they know everything. They are good to go. But they have a nice cover and a wonderful controller. Right? Imagine boardroom getting that controller, man. Collectors
boardroom decisions.
Boardroom decisions, 100%. But the boardroom made a nice looking controller. So I'll give them that.
Yep. What a shit show. What a shit show. What like the video game industry right now. We've been talking about it. We've been kind of like yelling at the top of the mountains for years about the dangers of live service and how we as consumers need to be smarter on how we spend our money. You know, like you said last week, we need to stop being beta testers and pay more to be beta testers.
I laughed my ass off, and this isn't a dig at whoever does Space Marine 2. Saber Interactive. Looks like a fabulous game. I will be playing it. Oh, yes, I will. All right. That is my type of game. 100%. Kill xenomorphs. Yep. There for it. And it's got that gothic stuff. I'm playing Inquisitorius now, and I'm enjoying it. It's like a Diablo style 40K. So I just look at it and I go, oh, it's out. And then I look, no, it doesn't come out until today, September 9th. And I'm like, last week, but everybody's playing it now and the early access. And I'm like, no freaking way. Especially after watching Outlaws like just collapse in on itself, which that didn't do great numbers, apparently. Copies sold are down. Ubisoft put a lot of money into marketing. It's the only time I'm watching a Blue Jays game and on comes a Star Wars Outlaws commercial. And I'm like, whoa, they put on their big boy pants for this. Like, they ponied up the cash. So I'll bet you by Black Friday, that game's like $30. Well, not 30, probably 50 Canadian.
It'll be $39.99.
I would say FIFA 26 is going to be $39.99 or less on Black Friday. Because that's my yearly purchase.
It's our yearly purchase on Black Friday.
Yeah. It's any game. I'm like, do I need to play it now? Just wait another month and a half.
At this point, though, I barely even want to play FIFA, right? Like now So we're done with Concord. Let's talk about FIFA for a second.
Sure.
You know, and this is another thing that man, we're going to be so negative in this episode. We might as well be funny if we're going to be negative.
Yeah.
Here's the thing about FIFA. Or whatever the fuck they want to call it now. EAFA, go FU, consumers. EAFC.
EAFC, yeah. Eat a fucking dick, yeah.
The fact, Tyler's never coming back. The fact,
excuse my French. It just EAFC just sounds like EAFC. There's something going on there.
Yeah. Here's the thing about licensing. Now there's a licensing war between EAFC and all the other games that are out there.
Konami.
And FIFA and EA and all the individual teams. So
Yeah.
the fact that like we're not even getting all the teams and the leagues and everything that made FIFA.
Yeah, I know. It's like random jersey time. Like I just it was getting bad even in the older FIFA games when you get a trade done and then you have to go into world football, find the team that was supposed to be the Italian team that we got the players from, then figure out what their new names are and transfer them over. I was just like, oh man, this is ghetto now. Like this is really, it used to be, what was it? There was a Konami soccer game. You'd play it and it was like, it had one officially licensed stadium. It would get like the one from Barcelona or something. It was a big deal, right? It would be like, here you go, the big stadium, the big experience, Lionel Messi's in it, blah, 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 blah. And then it's just all nameless characters that just have skills and you're supposed to decode in your mind who's who, and all that jersey is kind of black and white. Okay.
And even that game got rebranded, right? So it went from Pro Evolution Soccer and now it's just eFootball.
It's interesting space, man. And you know what? It's so successful still. They still make money hand over fist, apparently.
The whole point
is all those games, like those games
of playing that game, was that you can play as AC Milan, not Milan of AC or whatever the fuck they want to call themselves now.
Yeah, I know, right? It was identifying with the brand. Yes, I agree. Like that's part of the charm in being an MLS supporter, is that your city is in there, right? Like your team. It's reflected in there. And I remember going on
BMO Field was never in there.
Yeah, BMO Field was never in there, but TFC was, and we played in a shed.
Yeah.
So it felt like BMO Field. But
true.
It was always captivating to me to be able to get on a plane to go see Toronto FC play somewhere and be able to pull it up on my Sony portable and play FIFA, right? And be able to do that. That's what I think Sony needs to concentrate on. Epiphany here, instead of games like Concord, bring back another handheld. Bring back the new Vita.
An actual handheld, not the halfway.
Yeah, not that
they have.
Not that there's anything wrong with what they brought out. I've heard great reviews about it, but that ain't my jam. Like
Dax
when I
has it, he loves it.
Yeah, I've heard great things about it, but I really like the idea of just not being connected to anything and just being able to play a video game, like put a chip in, like much like I do with my Switch. If I want to pick my Switch up and go to an appointment or whatever and have that to distract me, then it's there. But the 90% that I'm playing it on a screen, man. If I'm playing Zelda or Bayonetta or whatever, I'm playing it on a screen. Like,
yep. So it was announced that PlayStation is having a technical presentation on Tuesday, September 10th at 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern, and the stream's going to last for approximately 9 minutes and can be watched on PlayStation's official English YouTube channel. A lot of the rumors are saying that it's going to be a PS5 Pro rumors with a price point of $650. I'm
thinking $7 USD.
$7 USD?
Yeah. Like I'd gamble 90% that it's going to be 7 USD. It's going to be 900 Canadian. 950 maybe. Just so we can have 8K gaming. I my 8K TV is being sitting here not being used. I don't know.
This is why people need to watch us on YouTube. Remember, you can catch us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, whatever, X, and all the above.
This will be one generation where apparently the adoption rate on the PS4 Pro was somewhere in the neighborhood of 21% of players upgraded to that. I will be happily in the majority of people who don't. I'm still enjoying that lovely one that Boris got me and his friend, Mr. Destiny. I've still
I doubt that let's play this game. Prediction game. Alex, take part in this. What's the adoption rate? I'm thinking 10 max.
10% max, you think?
Yeah, I'm thinking like 7, 8.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go with 7. I'm gonna say 7%.
I'll go with 6.5. I just think the
Alex
economy
agrees 10 max.
Yeah, I just think the economy is killing it. Like Sony keep on going to the customers. Like they've raised the price of the PlayStation 5 in Japan 3 times now. They keep on going to the customer and raising the price. They raised the price of controllers another $50 today. So I don't understand. And I'll guarantee you, with each iteration of the PlayStation 5 that they're coming up with, they are cheapening it in production value and charging more. Like they are getting away with blue murder right now on the marketplace. And I will guarantee you, when you look at the stats for the leak stats that have come out for the PlayStation 5 Pro, they're all things that aren't expensive on the marketplace right now.
GPU, CPU.
Yeah. They went into areas that they just got wins on it, but no investment. The cost structure stays the same because of the price drop.
Here's the thing that scares me. It has an updated GPU and a CPU. Let's hope that heat sink and the thermal paste and just not having your PlayStation blow up on you is being upgraded as well.
They're going to be marketing it as standing up all the time. Like I've got mine. And then I was freaked out for like 6 months there because they were saying the liquid cooling kind of drips down into the board and all this. And I'm like, oh my God. Just crazy anxiety with this thing. I love it. I love it to death. Every time I play a game on it, I'm reminded about how awesome the controller is. But in fact, here's another fun factoid. Space Marine 2 runs worse on the PlayStation 5 than the Xbox Series X. Noticeable frame rate drops on performance. Or, is it performance?
Alex,
performance, yeah.
Performance. Alex brings up a great point. That $700 USD price better come with some actual storage space. That's another huge thing with
1 terabyte, my friend.
There you go.
You can take that to the bank. 1 terabyte. Accessorize, man. I will give Sony credit where credit's due. At least it's just you go out and you buy your own SSD. But you know what I mean? Like, Xbox screw you in the corner because they give you the Seagate path. Like, buy this proprietary 1 terabyte disk, $799. Really?
You know what's crazy? So, previous years, we used to make fun of Microsoft for all of their blunders. But here we are talking about Sony, and they're essentially doing everything Microsoft did 4 years ago.
Yep. They're a little bit misdirected, I think, in the marketplace. Complacent would be the word. Complacent.
I used to work for a complacent company.
Yeah. I was talking to somebody about that this week. About your experience.
Joker. Folly a deux reviews are in. I'm telling you, this is like the ultimate week.
Yeah, we're putting our foot in our mouths and we're sidestepping other traps. So there we go.
October 4th. Coming out October 4th. The Wrap gives it no score. Folie à Deux is the most interesting film about Arthur Fleck. It's genuinely a little daring, genuinely a little challenging, and genuinely a little genuine. That's no joke. NME gives it 4 out of 5. BBC gives it 2 out of 5. IndieWire gives it a C-. Variety said the concept is audacious, but the execution less so in a movie that takes a step back from the danger of Joker. And everyone's favorite 3-letter company gives it a 5 out of 10.
Yeah, I've heard those mixed reviews. Look, they're swinging for a fence here, and I don't know that it's appropriately identified, but I respect that they're trying. Making it into a musical with Lady Gaga, daring. There's no one going to say you didn't try, right? The first movie was depressing as hell. Like, that was a dark movie. And I watched it and enjoyed it because Mark Maron was in it. And he's like my personal hero. So And Joaquin Phoenix did a fantastic job. This movie is a background movie with streaming at best for me, and that's not to take anything away from DC or the Joker. That's just, I just know that this movie isn't aimed at me, and that's okay. I hope other people who do enjoy it. Like, seriously, love the crap out of it. But I also could argue Deadpool 3 wasn't a very good movie either, but it just did a lot of fan service really well.
It was all fan service.
Yeah, the whole thing was just paper thin, but it's what people wanted. So, summer blockbusters are supposed to be summer blockbusters. They're supposed to be loud and fun and a romp. And this movie is going to do different directional things, and that appeals to a different audience. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm happy that there's the diversity. And I hope it finds its audience and does well, but I can understand how a lot of people might not really be warmed up to it.
Beetlejuice makes $110 million in second biggest September debut in history.
Yeah, and there's a whole bunch of people pooping on that, saying that it's not a good movie. It's nostalgia bombs. Come on, let the people who need that nostalgia bomb enjoy it. I know that'll rank higher on my rewatch on streaming. My eagerness to get to it. Looks like fun. Michael Keaton. Hey, yeah, I think he's changing his name.
Yep.
Good for him.
Douglas Keaton.
Yeah, because
you know why he had to change
Michael
his name, right?
Keaton Douglas, because his name was Michael Douglas, and the Screen Actors Guild requires you to have you can't have the same name.
Everyone has to have a unique name.
Yeah.
That's why it's Michael B. Jordan as opposed to Michael Jordan.
Right. But, like, he's a timeless actor. He didn't do this for a paycheck. He did it because he wanted to, portray the character again. So it's not my bag. That was a movie. I enjoyed it, but it was like a one and done for me. I'm not a huge Tim Burton fan per se, but that being said, the other night I was thinking, I don't know if I have a copy of Coraline on DVD, and I might want to pick that up because that's a Neil Gaiman. Yeah, and it was very much like a animation style that was similar to A Nightmare Before Christmas and other Michael or Tim Burton things. So, and I enjoyed his Batman stuff a little bit, but I found it hokey. But as we reviewed Batman Returns last year or the year before.
Speaking of Batman, we should review Caped Crusader season 1.
I haven't seen that.
Good.
Well, we can add it to the list. List is open.
Yeah. The list is open.
Yeah.
TIFF is happening right now.
Yeah. What a opening with Tragically Hip. Oof.
Yeah.
Talk about a crazy time. I was jealous. I heard there was some over 40,000 people that came out to sing with the Tragically Hip afterwards. Like, man, oh man, I am looking forward to that on Prime, September the 20th. It'll be 4 hours of tears for me.
Yeah, that's going to be insane to say the least.
Yeah, it erupted so many memories for me about going to that final Toronto concert and whatnot alone. It was the first concert and the only concert I've gone to by myself. And yeah, I didn't feel like I was by myself. I felt like I was right at home with 20,000 other people. But great start. And there's lots of great movies, man. We got great actors roaming around town right now, like Mark Hamill. And we've got Stephen King. Mark Hamill and Stephen King sat beside each other to watch a movie.
Yeah. Robbie Williams is in town. He's gonna be performing tonight after the Better Man screening.
Awesome. It
Gillian
really is
around.
Yeah, it's a wonderful thing, guys. Like, honest to goodness, if you're in the greater Toronto area, go check out TIFF. Like, just a fan spot. Like, just to now, I will warn people, don't be too invasive with them. Like when they're on the red carpet or they're walking down the street in their TIFF kind of mode. Yeah, they'll do a selfie with you or whatever, but don't track them down to their hotel rooms and crap like that. Like,
but that's why a lot of actors come to Toronto, because they're left alone for the most part.
Yeah, it really was. Like Robin Williams, when I met him, he told me, if I went out anywhere in the States, I'd need bodyguards. And he goes, in Toronto, I can just walk down to the Silver Snail and go get my comics. Like, he's just like, nobody bugs me here. So, yeah, it is true. And it really is part of the thrill here in the city. The energy picks up, especially when our sports teams aren't doing well. So, the two combined, wonderful place.
Don't even get me started. All right, let us jump to Snowpiercer.
Oh,
WB Discovery. Snowpiercer started on TNT in the United States, Netflix internationally for 3 seasons. Then it was canceled.
Yeah.
Then it was picked up by AMC for season number 4. AMC in the States. Crave here. Go figure.
Yeah. I have it on a friend's Plex. I was like, oh, look, Snowpiercer season 4. I started episode 1. I turned
season 3. We were at the point in season 3 where my friend Jane and I, we would stay up until 3 a.m. every single Monday to watch the next episode. Sometimes you too.
Yeah. I found myself with an unhealthy obsession with it because I really enjoyed the characters. This
newest season is so hard to watch. And the issue is, so they did a time jump in that first episode. So you're lost already. If you didn't rewatch season 3 and the end of season 3, you'd be so lost because of the time jump. You're already lost because of the time jump.
Yeah.
But you're doubly lost if you didn't watch it before. And the episode on top of that was just boring and long-winded. It felt like I was watching the second season of House of Dragon again.
Yeah. It's true. Another one I turned off.
And here's the worst part, Phil. You've only watched the first episode of Snowpiercer season 4, correct?
I would say I've watched 3/4 of the first episode.
Not even
the power is knocked out. They're just going around and everybody's a suspect. It's just it's everything that was on the train, not on the train.
Yeah. The issue with season 4 is that it's 1 episode good, 1 episode bad. 1 episode good, 2 episode bad. 1 episode half good, the second half of that episode utterly shite.
So it's doing a Rings of Power.
Pretty much at this point.
Another one I've not gone beyond episode 1. I'm like, oh, this is cringy. And then I just see the headlines. Viewership low. Can take IP in danger.
Yeah, no, Snowpiercer, and this is what worries me, and the reason why I wanted to talk about this is not so much that we're reviewing it, is going back to what we were talking about earlier. I'm worried about a lot of the shows that were hits before the strikes, and seeing them come back post-strike in this non-seasoned world, in this whenever we get our shit together and release stuff world, they're just not good. House of the Dragon, horrible second season. Snowpiercer, barely watchable 4th season. Handmaid's Tale has just started filming last week, and I'm really worried about that show.
Yeah. They filmed
that writer strike, it destroyed so much.
Yep. Then you know
Halo sucked right from beginning to end, so that at least maintained its whatever.
I thought Halo was okay. The big fall down in season 2 was not having the budget to film it properly, to put him in the suit. And they made him do it without the suit. And that is not Halo anymore. It was hard enough that they took the suit off of him and they took the helmet off of him. They gave him a face. Controversial. That game or that show is meant to, like, this is the same problem as Borderlands. If there's a problem that I have with Borderlands, it's that it didn't respect the original IP, the game. And that was the biggest issue with Halo 2 or Halo Season 2. Season 1 was slow, but it had a lot to set up for audiences. Season 2, you can't just take any of it for granted, right? You have to establish characters. Season 2 did a crap work, like did a garbage job because they were hampered by money issues. So if you're only going to be half-assed in, like, it's not a dead series, but it is a dead series as far as Paramount is. Like, Paramount won't pick it up again. They are shopping it aggressively behind the scenes, from what I understand. So, never say never, but I think it's safe to say it's probably pretty dead.
Yep.
But I did watch every single episode.
You're a better man than me.
Oh, I was cringing, believe me. I can only imagine Jay. Oh, that guy plays more Halo than, like, we actually completed Halo 5 together and got all the achievements done. Like, it was nuts. This is so much work. And that wasn't a good game. 343 ruined Halo.
They did. They honestly did. And then some. But yeah, but it's going back, and we're going full circle in all of this before we talk about Borderlands. It's, you just mentioned Halo got budget taken away from it. Mm-hmm. Inconsistent writers, change of storylines, streaming services, God knows what, and weird decisions. It's going to be very interesting to see where a lot of these series go from here.
Well, even look at Ahsoka. They're talking about starting filming next summer. So it's going to be 3 years between seasons. I don't know what Disney are thinking, but that's not the way to do TV. That's
less is more is not, doesn't mean you release once every decade.
Yeah, like, I don't understand the thought process of delaying it. Like, I know that you just hear every day, oh, they're trying to pump the brakes. Only one Star Wars property a year. Only this property a year. Yeah, I get that you're trying to slow it down so you can supervise it better. But, man, you got to have some people you trust. Like, I get a dude before Iger got back in there was just like, okay, let's just greenlight everything and print money. They literally did the Loblaws Marvel card trick with their shows. Like, She-Hulk, oh, if we took our time and really wrote this carefully and did this and did that, it could be fantastic. But nah, let's just call it Green Ally McBeal and see if it sticks. Out of all that Marvel stuff, I hope Ms. Marvel survives, because I really think that show had something unique. And I think that movie, the Lost Marvels movie, it got dumped on just because of Brie Larson. And I'm just sick of that too, because that's toxic fandom. I don't understand it. It was a fun movie. It was fun to watch. I enjoyed it. I love the cat humor. I'm a cat guy. So I just think that there was just so much going on in it that I enjoyed, that I'd like to see a Ms. Marvel season 2.
Speaking of toxic fandoms, do you want to talk about what you sent me earlier?
Oh, which thing did I send you earlier now?
The Star Wars.
Oh, so last night, first of all, I got one old man gripe. YouTube, please. I'm a paid subscriber. All right. If I want to block somebody on YouTube, like if I want to block a channel, please let me block a channel instead of take them away from my feed, because they always land back into my feed, because the algorithm goes, Phil likes Star Wars. And then the algorithm goes, Phil's going to watch this. And then I don't watch that. And then it takes like a year for it to somehow get out of that feed. But there's a somewhat toxic guy that is really, he appeals to a lot of people in the same way Mike Zero appealed to me, because he seemed to know what he was talking about. And I'm not going to name names beyond Mike Zero, because Mike Zero, everybody knows his credentials and how every week he says, oh, Kathleen Kennedy is going to be fired this week and we can all celebrate and dance on her grave. And then she somehow gets renewed for 3 more years. But he's a Canadian guy. He's out in Vancouver. He really genuinely did love Star Wars. And then he figured out that by hating Star Wars, he can get a bigger paycheck off of YouTube.
So it's funny that you say this, because this happens in a lot of fandoms right now in the wrestling world. We're seeing a lot of just toxic negativity in a lot of content creators, because they know that that's getting the clicks. So we have a lot of people playing characters of, oh, this, everything sucks. This sucks. You suck. People suck.
Yeah,
because that's what gets them clicks.
And this guy went after the accolade for some of the stars' ethnicities or gender roles, things like that. Not cool. Like, really, when you start piling on, like, this is divert. Like, there was 3 creators identified in this document that got sent around. All right. The original creators of that document are remaining anonymous. It got amplified on one channel, Star Wars Explained. All right. If you've ever watched Star Wars Explained, I highly recommend it. They are good people. Alex and Molly are both fantastically devoted to Star Wars and explaining Star Wars. And my goodness, do they, if I'm going to skip a book, I'm going to watch Alex and Molly's discussion about it. So I feel like I read it. So these guys are fantastic. They're fantastic fans. They build Lego. They play the video games. They read the books. They watch the movies. They do everything. They try to have an unbiased side. I know everybody's got a little bit of a lean, and that's okay. They promoted this document that said they want the toxic YouTubers to basically YouTube to start not pushing them or demonetizing them because of their negativity. And the negativity that they want demonetized is when you call out the fan base to go after someone in Star Wars, like the Tran girl from Last Jedi, the Acolyte people, all that stuff. It's garbage stuff. Star Wars is for everyone. We had to make tweets today to prop up Star Wars Explained and Molly today, just so they know that the world doesn't hate them. That, you know, and I clicked on this guy's thing because I thought it was a summary of what he was saying, and it was his video, and he was just, he even went beyond that, Boris, and this will anger you. He published emails that were private between him and Alex between 2016 and 2018 that discusses Alex's troubles with dealing with his mental health while he ran his YouTube channel. Like, and he's justifying it because someone's going after his food, like someone's going after his money. And I'm like, my dude, just stop going after people. You can have your opinion. Don't be a bigot about it. Don't sick people on other people just because they look different or they act different than what you want. It's the fact is that I would argue that Disney has done more for Star Wars in the time that it's owned it than George Lucas ever did.
Star Wars would be nothing if George Lucas still had it.
Exactly.
We wouldn't have gotten another trilogy and all these shows. What's it called? Clone Wars wouldn't have finished. Rebels wouldn't have happened.
We got so much, and some of it worked and some of it didn't. And that's okay. Right? Like, not everything has to be for me. Like we discussed last week. There's little kid shows. There's YouTube shows. There's this show. There's that show. It's all good. I hope everybody's entertained. I hope everybody gets a handshake into the fandom. But this pouncing on them it's got to stop because it's hurting the community. It really is. It's hurting fans right now. And that's not a way to go about. Like, I don't know that Disney can do anything or should do anything. I think that the gatekeepers on YouTube and whatnot need to have more accountability to their rules and regulations. And if those rules and regulations aren't outlining this, they should. The fact is that we should not be going after one another. We should not be calling out on fan bases to go and do idiot things on social media, or, you know, that trans girl had to close down her Instagram because she was getting harassed so much. These people, they don't need the abuse, man. They took a job. It's a job. They don't control it. They don't own it. They didn't write it. They portrayed it the way that the director and the producers and everybody told them how to do it. And they did a job. It's not their fault. Leave them alone. That's Old Man Yells at Cloud.
Well said. Well said. Again, we're going to go on here each and every single week and tell people to stop gatekeeping fandoms, for the love of God. It is for everybody. It's here for all of us to enjoy it. You know what? If you don't like it, don't watch it. There's stuff that you like. There's stuff that you don't. Phil, you said it best last week. There's stuff in the Star Wars universe right now, in the Disneyverse, that just isn't for you.
Yeah.
Because it's not made for you.
Yeah, Skeleton Crew might be stinky.
Fine.
It might be stinky. It might not be for me, but it's probably going to appeal to a bunch of kids, right? And that's a good thing. Let them in. I'll probably watch it anyway because I want to know what the kids are seeing, right? But
crazy concept, right? Getting the new generation hyped about your IP. Crazy idea.
Yeah. It's like the group that got upset about Jar Jar Binks. Like, kids loved him. Adults hated him. Well, Star Wars wasn't made for adults. I hate to tell you. Like, when we were kids, when we watched it, and it was right up our alley. So,
Ewoks.
Yeah.
Remember when Ewoks were the most decisive issue in Star Wars?
Yep. Murder bears.
Cannibal bears. I guess they're not cannibal bears. They don't eat other Ewoks. They eat humans.
They eat humans, you know, like, how did they have a dress exactly the size of Princess Leia? Oh, they must have killed somebody. It's you can't put logic into Star Wars. Star Wars is just its own thing. It's its own universe. It doesn't have to make sense. It's okay. I'm enjoying now, you know what? Stuff that isn't canon, and I don't give a shit. Like, the adherence to canon and the obsession. I know we have a show talking about canon, but our obsession, our take on canon is one of having fun with it, one of learning from it, not one of decrying everything in the fandom that's not canon as we're going to poop on you now. Like, come on, man.
So, Phil, I question you now. Is our obsession with canon and the Marvel Universe and things like that overshadowing our enjoyment of individual IPs?
I think it can play a role, yes. I think there's a little bit too much about arguing or trying to identify the canon, but as well, I see a lot of YouTube channels dedicated to sorting out canon. But it's okay for creators to retcon it, to make it work for something else. I'd rather have the new something else that's retconned than not have anything and go, well, look, Al Mundy said, oh, there's me no sets for a millennia. Like, okay, just shut it down. Turn off the lights. Like, stupid. Have some fun with it. And
something that is stupid and we cannot have fun with and won't have a canon, and that's Borderlands the movie.
I liked it. I really liked it. I have problems with it.
The last episode of the It's Canon episode, or the It's Canon podcast. Look. Where? How do I say this? You're an idiot. Number one.
You off.
No, I'm not mad. I don't give a shit. Everyone likes what they like. I don't understand how you can like this. No, in all seriousness, here's the thing, and this happens with a lot of IP. This happens a lot with a lot of things that we know.
Mm-hmm.
If it wasn't called Borderlands, it wouldn't be too bad.
It still stuck pretty good to the Borderlands world. It just didn't go deep enough.
That's my whole point.
Yeah, I will concede that there's no point doing a movie as a PG-13 when the content was basically R-rated.
That is probably the biggest issue.
Yeah, that was the biggest compromise that hurt it. I think that the actors were okay. I think that their portrayals were a little bit off at times. I know
they were cosplayers.
Quality,
this is the issue, right? They were cosplaying characters that have been established in the video game. And this is why I say that if it wasn't based on Borderlands, if this was something else and they were original characters, it wouldn't be so bad.
Yeah, but I do think that they landed the world. I think that it had
Pandora
Pandora, the story beats, everything like that.
The Vault.
We're very much into I could watch more. Now, would I think it would be better as a Twisted Metal series versus a movie? Yes.
This is you took the words out of my mouth. That if they planned a TV show, it would have been so much better. Twisted Metal was how long? A 101 minute movie.
Yeah.
It would suck.
Yeah, it would. But as a series where you get time to, flesh out the characters, like, first of all, they could have saved a lot of money by not going after, the names that they did.
Jamie Lee Curtis.
It was ridiculous. Jamie Lee Curtis, Cate Blanchett, Kevin Hart, Jack Black.
Ariana Greenbelt. Even Ariana, she must have been cheap because she wasn't that popular at the time.
Well, and you have to remember, they made this movie. They announced it 5 years ago, and they made it 2 years ago. It's been sitting in the can, right? So they've been cutting it and recutting it and going, how do we get this out there? So this was something that it basically, from what I can tell from interviews, it really suffered and hurt from COVID for the filming. But I don't want to make excuses for it. It was a movie that didn't deserve the backlash that it got. I know I've seen other guys talk about it where they said they brought their kids to it. They sat down on a matinee show. They were the only ones in the theater and they had a blast with it because it was a summer romp. It was what I was talking about earlier. Summer romp. It doesn't have to be completely make sense. It doesn't have to be anything. It just needs to be, oh, if you like that, go see this. I've played all of the games, and believe me, I played them all. A lot. I think Borderlands 2 and 3, I have sunk thousands of hours into. The Moon
Mike
one
and I
that
played way too much. 1 and 2, Mike and I played way too much.
1, 2, and 3. Oh my gosh. Like 3, I spent a year easy every single weekend nonstop. So I'm very familiar with the IP. I just rebought them all again on Xbox. They were on sale for $20 for all of them, the entire package. And I'm looking forward to Borderlands 4. Believe me. I like this.
Which I love how in this mess, in this $90 million in the hole just before we talk about marketing dollars, they announced Borderlands 4.
Yeah. Everything spectacularly backfired on them. So
you know what the funny part is, Phil? You know that some executive and his yes men were like, when we have the most popular movie of the summer, we're gonna announce the next movie or the next game.
Yeah, exactly. Expecting it to be. Yeah.
If you watch the movie expecting it to be unironically good, you've made your first mistake.
Yep, it's true. Expectations, man. I went into that thinking that it was going to be a total disaster. like unwatchable, unmitigated, star-studded disaster. And that's where I'm coming from. I came out and I went, well, not bad. Like I could watch it again. I actually bought it. And I think that film is going to be a cult classic, much the same way that Labyrinth or some of the other big box office flops are. I think it'll go on to have a life with some fan base where it'll be like, oh yeah, you don't? Okay, I'm curious.
Oh.
Because I think it got hated for no reason other than to throw shade on something. Because, and face it, tough summer, man. Deadpool 3. Like, your standards.
And that's it.
Oh, no. Followed up with Alien Romulus. All right. You have 1-2 punch. It was the summer of R. It just cracked like 300 million. And that movie was like under 100 million to make. It's doing gangbusters. They actually announced a new show on Hulu for Alien Earth.
Yeah, but that's been announced for years. They just finally made it official. Tranquilo, Phil. Tranquilo.
No, I'm just saying.
You know who I feel bad? Lionsgate. Have you watched The Crow? Speaking of shit movies?
I heard that's terrible. That's the kind of garbage that I don't like, is when you go after remakes of good movies and you shit them up. That's not good. I haven't watched it yet.
Here's the thing. I remember having this discussion with Dax on a previous podcast that him and I hosted. And we said, wait a minute. Isn't Borderlands and The Crow supposed to come out in August? We haven't heard much since people like review bombed the trailers.
Yeah. Yeah. You knew The Crow was going to be a disaster. Borderlands, at least, it hasn't been done. Well, it's been done as other movies like Last of Us and stuff like that. Like, we get the post-apocalyptic world a lot.
Mad Max.
Furiosa. Yeah.
Lionsgate, man, taking a beating this summer because The Crow is also Lionsgate.
Yeah, well, I only assume that they write it off just like everybody else, right? Like, look at how quickly Borderlands showed up on video. It was like 2 weeks after it was in theaters. It was just like, yeah, whole movie, early access. And to be honest, normally those things sell for $25 to $30 Canadian. That one was like 20. That one was like cheap comparatively.
Yep.
The
issue with The Crow,
yeah,
more than anything else, is when you draw inspirations from Suicide Squad Joker, you know what type of movie you're gonna get.
Oh man, you don't want to do that. There was a perfectly good movie already there. Perfectly good. I can at least applaud the attempt at Borderlands. To remake something and crap it out like that, oh, I feel bad. And then,
yep,
we find out this week that Linkin Park is back. Speaking of pop culture, and controversy now because Chester's son doesn't like it.
Well, Chester wasn't.
Yeah, I agree.
We're gonna have that's a whole other conversation.
I know what you're going to say,
Chester
and I agree.
Bennington was already a replacement.
Yeah, Chester wasn't the band. The band is the band. And the other members
Having
get to decide how it goes. Yeah.
When you are a known Scientologist rooting for Danny Masterson.
Yeah. But here's the thing, right? I don't know that when I watch it and listen to it. And I go, holy crap, I actually got chills there. That song kind of rocks. All I care about is music, man. I don't care about the politics. All right? Like, do you not watch,
honestly,
do you not watch Mission Impossible? Do you not watch Mission Impossible because of Tom Cruise? Well, there you go. Good for you. But I'm just saying the same people that object to her are the same people that go and punch the money in the bag and watch Mission Impossible and don't have a problem with it.
You're 100% right there. Here's the thing. Sometimes I try so hard to remove the artists from their views and blah, blah, blah. But sometimes it's a little too much. I'm going to listen to the new Linkin Park. I am.
Yeah.
I love the new song.
Yeah.
Already pre-downloaded their new album for November 15th.
Yeah.
I think this is going to be great. Might even try to attend a show. We'll see what happens. I'm just saying, people are going to be making noise.
Yeah. And they're always going to make noise. You're at this point in the band's career, you're not going to be able to have someone stand in there and do what Chester did. All you can do is respect it. But they're not Chester songs. They're the band songs. Chester was a big part of it. Rest in peace. I had tickets for the show here in Toronto, and he killed himself the weekend before the show. So I was really looking forward to seeing him live. I've been an off and on fan of the band for a long time. They're not my favorite band in the world or anything like that, but sometimes their songs hit a note with me, especially if I'm driving the car and I'm feeling a little bit ragey or whatever, or I need to feel ragey. Great music for that. Or you had a shit day at work and you want to turn on some music and feel like you're hitting stuff or getting energy out. That's the stuff to listen to. Go work out. Do whatever. But I'm not going to get into the whole thing of the biggest thing that she's already released a statement about attending that guy's court case who is a criminal, the guy from that 70s show. And she just said that she got asked to be there in support of him. And when she heard the list of stuff against him and everything like that, she disavowed him from her life. She said, I'm no longer his friend. He was a friend. I'm no longer his friend. Right? She's an impressionable girl.
Higher ups. Right?
Yeah. And it's manipulation. But to me, using the thing, like here's the controversial statement I'm going to say that's going to probably cheese off a bunch of people. But if you're going to be upset about her being in a cult, if you go to an evangelist or anything like that, you could already be in a Christian cult. I'm not here to cast those stones, man. Everyone's got their own belief system. Do I think Scientology is silly?
Started.
Do I think Scientology is started?
I don't even want to go down this road right now.
I know. I don't even want to go there, but I'm just saying it's a point of view is all I'm saying, from a certain point of view. So I'm just not going to get involved in her politics. Enjoy the sound of her voice because it sounds pretty good. And enjoy that Mike Shinobi and all those guys are back.
Yep.
Well,
that's exactly it. At the end of the day. R.I.P. Chester.
R.I.P. Chester.
And let's move on. Phil, this has been a fun little episode. A little negativity on a Monday afternoon.
Yeah, it's too bad. I'm at the end of my vacation. I got one more day. We had to poop on it, but it started out really hard with the passing of James Earl Jones. May the force be with him. You can track us down at www.aplusproductions.com. You can look us up on Instagram, X, YouTube, Twitch, Facebook at It's Canon Podcast. You can email us at show@itscanonpodcast.com. You can subscribe anywhere you find podcasts. You're going to find the It's Canon Podcast. And if you like what you hear so far,
you're actually going to find A+ Entertainment.
A+ Entertainment is very much out there, yes. And it is our new home. And it is our new landing spot. But we are the It's Canon Podcast. Like us, leave a review if possible. Hit us up on socials. We're happy to talk to you. Yeah, I'm Phil. He's Boris. I'm sorry for anything I said that was offensive. But
we're fine.
Opinions have to be said. I didn't mean anything offensive. But
amen, brother. Amen, brother.
You do you.
It's kind of funny.
We'll
I
do
said
us.
Amen because of what we were talking about.
Yeah, what we were just talking about. But you see, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yep.
Tranquilo.
We are the It's Canon Podcast, a show where we talk about anything and everything. And Phil, the best part of it all is that it's all in canon. He's Phil. I'm Boris. Until next time, stay tranquilo.